YouTubers. So I woke up this morning and went outside, and there were 2 packages right in my front door. And so I had to find out what they were. But of course I knew what they were. When I played guitar, I either go for a tube type sound, right, or a solid state type sound. And when I say solid state, I have these little mini orange 20-watt amps, and I really love the sound of them. Yet they're completely solid state. And I had recently gotten an X2 tube head. Really gives you that tube sound, and it just depends, I guess, on the mood I'm in, whether I want to play with that tube type sound or the solid state sound. And this gets all into the tube versus solid state. Obviously solid state, I suppose emulates the tube sound, but it's also a different kind of sound, a lot smoother sound, less dynamic, where things pop out sound-wise, that you would find in a tube amp. So they're 2 different things. Now, online, people say, oh, well, the tube amp is superior and so on, better than solid state. But I know from personal experience that that's not the case at all. It's simply not true. They're different. Okay? I suppose there are some bad solid state amps, just as there are bad tube amps, same thing. But for me, when I hear a tube amp, I think, that Fenderish clean sound, that kind of pops. A lot of low end and dynamic and things. Whereas when I think of a solid state amp, I think of something like the orange amps that are very, very smooth. So with that being said, I was looking at the little 20-watt amp from Orange. I call them mini oranges because they're so small. And they're fine. They're great. I mean, I really love that sound of that amp. But I thought, man, if I had a couple of larger orange amps, I mean, the sound would just be incredible. It was the cr60c, which is a 60-watt 1x12 combo. And while it's solid state, it's all analog, and so you would assume that it has a very, very nice sound, very similar, in fact, to the 20-watt mini orange amps that I have, except it's got a 12-inch speaker and it's 60 watts. Okay, now for a couple hundred more, I could have gotten the cr60c, which is similar to the 60c, except it's got 2 12-inch speakers, and it has 120 watts. Except there's one little discrepancy. And it's not much bigger than the cr60c, but there's one big difference, and that is the weight. Right? It's 60 pounds. And that's a heavy amplifier, definitely pretty heavy. I have some Black Star combo amps and the HT Club 40, and that's about 53 pounds, and that's already pretty darn heavy. But when you start getting into 60 pounds and above, you know, you just can't move those around very easily and that kind of thing. So for that reason I chose, you know, especially if I'm going to be playing with two of them, right, in stereo, you know, the cr60c is 20 pounds lighter, right, about 40 some pounds. I think it's 44 pounds actually. So you know, I mean, in terms of combo amps, it's pretty light really, you know, in comparison. I have a PV stereo chorus amp, for example, that's 80 pounds. It's a freaking monster, 2x12, and it's such a hassle. You know, if I want to move it around anywhere, because it's so big, you know. So that's why I settled on the cr60c, right? Because the weight certainly played a role in that, and it's also 60 watts and a 1x12. So when you're playing two of them, you know, you're at 120 watts and two 1x12 speakers, you know. So I thought, well, that's probably a pretty good idea. You know, I had to be reasonable. Plus, it's, you know, more expensive, the cr120c, and you know, they make a head, a cr120c head, you know, which will probably be a good option as well, you know, as far as moving it around and those kinds of things, you know. But really, the day of the gigantic amps, you know, is come and gone with the quality of PAs and that kind of thing, and for home use and for recording, you just don't need a gigantic amps. Holy smokes, there's two of them. You know, there they are. The orange tape, very nice, and the box, look at that. It's an official orange cr60c orange amplification box, right? Established 1968. Voice of the World, which is the name of their speaker. London, England. Wow, look at this. Two puppies. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take them over to that table to get ready to unbox them, so hold on. Hey, so here it is. And let me tell you something. I think I'm not going to regret getting the cr120c, only for the fact that well, these are darn heavy, you know, but not crazy heavy. I remember I had a Fender Twin amp, and I mean, that thing was just a monster, heaviness wise, you know, just not manageable for me anyway. Alright, here we go. Now be prepared. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. There we go. Oh my goodness. Well, what a surprise. Guess what's in the box? Another box. Let's open that one up. So it's double boxed. Here we go. Okay. Oh my goodness. Here it is. Oh yeah, that's plenty big, let me tell you. Okay, so here we are. And, okay, very first thing you get here is a product safety manual for the Crush Pro. Yeah, la, la, la. Okay. Do not use this apparatus near water. Clean only with dry cloth. Do not block any ventilation openings. Okay. Heed all warnings. Follow all instructions. Wow, okay. Alright, then here's the manual. It's a very, 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 very small. Oh my goodness. It's in several different languages. It's basically a piece of paper. So let's see what it says here. Important safety instructions that are so tiny to read. Important safety instructions. Number 1, read these instructions. Number 2, keep these instructions. Okay. Do not block any ventilation. Use only attachment accessories specified by the manufacturer. Unplug the apparatus during lightning storm. Okay, so just common sense electrical stuff. That's fine, so I'll keep that. Here we go. Now I see the top of the amp here, and there's a little card, and it says Inspector L1, Inspector 2, CYN. So these have been inspected, double inspected. So that's always a plus, right? Wow, I've never seen an orange amp this big, and I'm so used to the little mini orange. So here we go. Let's remove some of the packaging here. And, oh yeah, that's plenty big. That's a big puppy. I'm going to go ahead and keep the wrapping on because we're outside. There's the handle. Wow, that is sweet. So let me get this out of here. Oh. Okay. There it is. And let's move that off to the side. Oh. Comes with a power cord. Oh yeah, that's just a good looking amp there. Wow. It's kind of about the size of a PV Bandit, really. Plenty big. And you know, it's still quite a heavy amplifier, quite frankly. So I think it's probably a safe and sound decision not to get the cr60c, only for the fact of the weight in particular. You know, very nice. Wow, that looks great. Okay, so I'm going to put all the packaging in here, and we're in luck because we've got to do another one. Keep these boxes for later in case I need them. Now you're in for a treat because bonus, we have a second orange amp unboxing. And while I do this, I'm going to talk to you about the for those who are on the fence between a cr120c or a cr60c, let me tell you, if you plan on moving it around and taking it somewhere, that kind of thing, to play gigs or what have you, and even in, I guess depending on the size of your music room and so on, the cr60c is really quite a big amp, so I can imagine the cr120c, bigger but also heavier. And this is really, the weight's not bad at all as far as moving it around. I mean, I didn't have too much problem, especially with the handle, getting it inside the house. But I realized, man, once it was inside the house, just in my living room, how big of an amp it is. It's every bit as big as a Blackstar HT Club 40. It's a pretty sizable amp too. And you can also, if you really want the 2x12 sound, you can always add a extension cabinet if you wanted to. Okay, so anyway, let's get to it. I guess I haven't really started. So here we go. Here's the first box opening. Here we go. There's the second box. Wow. And guess what? It's identical to the last unboxing. Exactly the same, in fact. Here we go. So we got our protective layer here. The orange product safety manual. So it's really hard to see the screen on the camera, so I hope that it comes out alright. We'll see. Okay, anyway, the product safety manual here, which is just a piece of paper, and it's the usual electronics warnings, keep it away from water and that kind of thing. So, yeah, you don't want to be swimming in a pool and have someone throw one of these in the pool. Probably a bad idea. Okay. So, when I have my pool parties, unfortunately I don't have a pool. I don't have to worry about that. Okay. So here we go. And let's take a look here. Hey, it's got an inspection tag. And looks like Inspector 1 is LI. Inspector 2, I don't know if that's a C. It looks like Chris, I think. That could be a G, I guess. Gus, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at it. Boy, that is just sweet. Now there is a tiny, tiny imperfection. Let's see if I can get that out of there. In the Tolex. Yes, I see that. But it is microscopic. So, not to worry. Very, very nice. Alright, here we go. Take that out. I'm going to leave it in the wrapping like the last one. It's you know, the driveway is a little muddy, so I don't want to get it, you know, super dirty. Okay. Here we go. There it is. Okay. Gotta move that over. And I'll show you the amp here shortly. Power cord. Alright, that's an official orange power cord. Alright, so let's put the packing back in. And definitely want to hold on to these boxes. They'll come in handy at some point for sure. Okay, very nice. And I'm glad it's double boxed, because if you look at this box right here, see that? Right, it's a little bit broken and chippy, the box. But luckily it's double boxed, so not something to worry about. So that concludes the double bonus unboxing. And please don't try this at home. You know, only experienced, trained professionals should even attempt such a feat. So there it is. Well, that's a good looking amp, I gotta say. And it's just the right size, I think. So I'm very pleased. Man. And when you think 2 of those, I mean, that should be plenty. You know? Now, you might be saying to yourself, why do you need 2 of them? Right? Is it to make some eardrums bleed and rock? No. No, that's not why at all. Very simply, I very much like to play in stereo, especially on clean sounds, you know, not so much high gain sounds. I in fact prefer mono on high gain usually, but the stereo signal, you know, from 2 amplifiers for the clean sound is essential, especially if you're going to be using delays and reverbs and those kinds of things. And it really creates that stereo ambience. And so that is why 2 instead of 1. Okay, I'm smart like that. Alright, so let's get this inside. And then we're going to hook them up and try them out. I bet it's sweet. Okay, we'll see. So I've got the orange cr60c in my studio room. And there's a few things I want to point out. Okay, so I've got the orange amp in my room. I moved one of them in here to do this video. And there's a few things I want to mention and point out. Okay, number 1, and this is from experience from owning other orange amps. And one, while they look very, very nice, keep in mind that that Tolex, okay, is very, very fragile, quite frankly. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but old orange amps, many times the Tolex, it almost seems like and when I say the Tolex, I should say the grill cloth, right? Seems to, I don't know, as if the speaker's sucking it in, right? And there's a clear outline of the speaker. Okay, and over time, the older they get, the more that happens. Okay, and as far as protection from the speaker itself, there's not much there, quite frankly. I mean, someone took a microphone stand and, oops, poked a hole right in it, it would destroy the speaker, too. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if these get dirty, you'll have a really hard time cleaning them. I mean, that's all there is to it. Okay? The grill cloth is just not prone to that. God forbid that you get them wet. Now, on older ones, when you get that indentation, what that is they call it waves in the grill cloth, right? Where the grill cloth almost seems to get loose and wavy and looks like it's being sucked in by the speaker. And a solution to that is not very good, but it works a little bit, is to spray the grill cloth with water and then use a hair dryer to dry it, and that'll kind of tighten up the toe legs, okay? So, and over time, especially over years, I mean, well, that kind of sucks, actually, quite frankly. That's just, and Orange doesn't offer any kind of re-tolexing service at all. And if you do, you've got to ungrew the grill panels and stuff like that. Okay, that's the first thing. Alright, so while it looks cool, my God, if there's ever an amp that you want to cover when not using, this is it. Okay, believe me, if you own one of these, you'll thank me later. Maybe months and maybe years, who knows. Especially if you're gigging them, in a bar and somebody spills something on it, or, whatever it is. The grill cloth, is just so delicate, and for this kind of amp especially, it's supposed to be so solidly built and well made and things, it's a terrible idea, but it looks so great, and in fact, some people think it affects the sound quality. Maybe so. That's the first thing. The second thing is, the very first thing I notice is 60 watts. While it may sound like a lot, it really is solid state 60 watts. And in that sense, I'm really, really disappointed in the power output, really. Now you have to understand, though, I've been playing tube amps, especially a Black Star 40 watt tube amps. And when they mean 40 watts, they mean 40 watts. It's very loud. But I'll tell you, the 60 watts of the Orange, the 15 watt X2 head is just as loud, if not louder. So those two things I really dislike about this amplifier. The third thing is, due to where the amp is, right, facing upwards, and this is not uncommon. In fact, Supro amps are the same way. The power connector is underneath the amp, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. Harder to unplug, but harder to plug in, too. It's a little gripe, But I mean, things like the effects loop and all that, so you're going to be bending that amp, over just to get to the connectors. That's not so cool. Okay, and when I first plugged in this amp, I was mortified, quite frankly. But this is coming from tube amps, And I try to deal with it as a tube amp, almost forgetting that it's just not a tube amp, it's a solid state amp. Now, so with that being said, those are my gripes. Now, this being a new amp, of course, you know, my cats have to come and investigate, you know, their dirty paws getting on the Tolex. You know, these amps are brand new, so you don't want to get them dirty. And yeah, that's the thing. You know, while they look cool, they're just so delicate. You know what I mean? To try to keep them in the new condition. It's only been a couple days, if even that. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, just the power connectors underneath, which is fine. But yeah, I was kind of mortified because I go, oh my God, this sounds like a PB Bandit. You know, except a PB Bandit's got more power. I mean, these things, for as big as they are, you know, I just thought they'd be louder. You know, now, once I got them on the floor, right, that helped a great deal as far as the bass response and those kinds of things. So that helped a lot too. You know, and when you had two together, it was more reasonable volume-wise. And I'm talking, you know, giggable volume. At home, you know, in your living room, it's plenty loud. That's fine. Okay, now, the most important part, obviously, is the sound. Right? And baby, just my cat's just, I don't know, he's jumping on everything, he's all excited. It's Shababy. And remember last time we found him in a 2x12 cabinet, all curled up. So I don't know what he's got planned this time. Okay, anyway, so sound quality wise, as I said, I've been playing tube amps. I absolutely love the sound, but I hate the tube maintenance. And when I say tube amps, I mean we're talking little Fender X2s, you know, with 3 tubes in it. You know, I have a deluxe reverb, it's got 10, 11 tubes. You know, and that's a sizable investment to change them out, and so on. But so these weren't, you know, gigantic 100-watt tube amps at all. I mean, we're talking 15 watts, or on the Black Star 40 watts. You know, and in fact, I should have known this because, and I'll tell you why. Because in my living room, I've got these little puppies, right? And I love them. They're little orange, right? Mini 20-watt amps, and they have great built-in effects, especially the reverb. And I was hoping, because there's a spring hall and what's the other one? Spring hall. Gosh, baby, please, no. No. What are you going to destroy this time? No. Shunti. No. Here, you can sit here. There you go. Okay, what is the third one? Oh yeah, so spring, hall, and plate. That's the third one. Spring, hall, and plate effects. And I was hoping they'd be as good as the little mini orange LDX series. Come on, baby. This is ridiculous. No, you can't. No. No! Shababy, I'm doing a video, please. Okay, as usual, Shababy gets his way. So, in any case, I was hoping that the reverb would be as good as the LDX series. And I'm sad to say, I'm severely disappointed. You know, I mean, they're not bad, and thank goodness that they had the, you know, that's Shababy playing with a battery. Thank goodness that they had the sense to at least put 3 different kinds of reverbs. And I will say that the little Crush LDX series is capable of a lot of reverb. You know, almost an echo kind of thing. And I absolutely love that kind of sound. You know, so, in fact, you know, obviously I use effects pedals and things. So I really love the big reverb sound. And I think it's so essential to a good, clean sound. You know, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why I love the X2. Right? Even though it's got a little digital reverb, it's a really nice reverb sound. So here it's okay, but I'm telling you, I had to crank it. You know, 7, 8, 9, 10 even. Right? To get a decent sound, really. Clean sound. So in that respect, I'm kind of disappointed. You know, now, and this is just my experience, okay? You know, and I've got 2 of these, and I put towels over them right away, especially with this little guy right here, Shababy. He's right there. He loves to, you know, use his claws as, you know, dig into that grill cloth. No way. You know, so I had to stop that. You know, but I knew ahead of time that that's what would happen, and that he'd come investigate. And sure enough, you know, lucky I had the towel to cover it, so he wasn't all that interested. Okay, so these are the bad things of the cr60c. Okay, as far as I discovered. Now, on the plus side, okay, it does have that classic orange clean sound. And that's something different than a tube amp sound. Okay, in that it is so clear. You know, and this is one thing I discovered, even with the effects pedals. I mean, it's as if you were plugging it into a freaking PA, you know, or even going direct. It's that clear. You know, on a tube amp, you don't quite get that. You know, it's not quite as clear. And this is just effects going straight into the amp. But on the orange, it is so clear. So it's that orange clean sound. And while you may not appreciate it at first, over time, your ears develop it to where you just love that sound. And in fact, I discovered that with these little guys. Okay? And in fact, that is the only similarity between the little LDX mini orange amps and these monster amps. They do have that orange clean sound. So let's take a listen to it. And, you know, one of the things, and I should preface that the clean sound I'm talking about is where it's not overdriving, okay? Now it can get much louder if you're using gain, okay, or you want that breakup, that tube-like breakup, okay? It can do that, but as far as clean sound, you know, I just thought it'd be louder. And here I have, in fact, the preamp at about 4 or 5, and then the master's all the way up maxed out right here. So if we listen to that. So it's a really nice, clean sound, without a doubt. I mean, think that that's the volume of my playing that knocked these batteries over, but no. Who do you think it is? Shababy, of course. You just love those batteries, don't you? You want some toys to play with, I see. Here. Okay. And that's about the maximum volume level, really, for a clean, really clean sound. Now, it's a great sound, though. You know, I think part of it is, you know, I'm used to my Black Stars, you know. No, baby. I guess I'm used to my Black Star HT Club 40s, okay? Really about the same size, you know, but the HT Club 40s are absolute monsters, you know, volume-wise, and I'm kind of used to that, and so this is, now it's an improvement over the little Crush LDX20, you know, of course, just because of the physical size. But I found that, you know, that really it's kind of underpowered, you know, and they have a 120 watt version, which will probably suit me better, quite frankly. And this is with 2 of them, you know. So it's just that solid state watts are just, you know, as far as gigging wise, they're not really up to the task as much, anyway. Now, but you see the clarity of that sound, and that's a sound that, you know, competes with a tube amp very, very well. Here's a bridge position. So I mean, it's got the sound, you know, that I really like, and I mean, you know, the reverb's not horrible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very much usable, you know. And if you need more, you know, obviously you could use a effects pedal. I tried messing with the settings and so on, and I do want to show you one other thing, and that is you can get a clean sound on the dirty channel as well, which is very much more like a tube amp, quite frankly. Let's take a listen to that. Okay, so here I am on the gain channel. It's still clean, though, clean sound. Immediately I can hear some amp hiss. Alright, that's to be expected because you're on the gain channel, obviously. But let's take a listen. There on the bridge, you can hear it's starting to break up, right? Of course, I've misplaced my pick. Sorry about that, but... And so that was the gain channel. And... Man, I'm sorry, but just the volume just isn't there, man. Well, it's a great practice amp, you know. And I mean, suppose you could play little coffee house gigs and things, but for larger venues and things, it's just not cutting it. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of a attenuator switch or something. You know, I don't think so. I think that, 60 watts solid state is 60 watts solid state. It's not 60 watts tube, you know. In fact, I would just say it's not even quite a 15 watt tube amp. So that's really disappointing for me. The tube sound, I absolutely love, but I love the orange clean sound as well. On there, one other thing is I ran effects into it, and I said they're so clear, which is a good thing, but it's not kind of the effects that are running through a tube amp, which to me sound a little more organic, more analog, if you like. I don't know. So I'm a little torn. Wow. But to me, man, I used to be all about modeling amps and things, and run a Pod XT Live, and I had a power amp and stuff like that, solid state and things. But I really find that the tube amp, is a lot more dynamic and that kind of thing. So in that sense, I'm really torn. And I don't know what to do about these amps. I'm not sure. Maybe a little premature to do a video on them. So let's call this part 1, and I'll let you know if they work out for me, Okay, very good. See you next time. Bye.